What? It's time for the old curiosity shop? Yay!
There's an old curiosity shop. Every once in a while I go by there for the fond recollections that lie there in that old curiosity shop.
Scary looking place, isn't it? Now this makes me mad because it's a really good example of goofus glass. Goofus glass, and that's what it's called. Most of you know that when you find this, it's in horrible condition because all of this is cold painted on the back. But this piece is in almost perfect condition, but they've got it taped to Avon. And I don't want those Avon plates. This is $3.49, and goofus glass has very little value, so I'm not going to buy it. But if it were just on its own, I would buy it simply because it's in really good condition, and it's hard to find goofus glass in this good of condition. And it's usually green, gold and red, and you can see on the back that it is painted, and it's done that way in the factory. Somebody didn't do this in their, this isn't somebody's basement project. It was produced very inexpensively that way prior to the 1920s. Oh well.
My baby loves me. Don't know nobody as happy as me. He's only 20 and I'm 21. We ain't got money, but ain't got fun. Sometimes we quarrel and maybe we fight, but then we make up the following night. When we're together, we're great company. I love my baby. Hey, hey, my baby loves me. My baby. Talk about your famous love affair. Romeo and Juliet had theirs. I just found someone, and someone found me. We're not very famous, but who cares? I love my ever-loved baby, and my baby loves me. We're hot-y, cosy, fine, he gives me kisses.
Well, here's an example of some typical souvenir items. What do we do today when we travel? We buy t-shirts. But our grandparents didn't do that. Our great-grandparents bought items like this, these ruby flashed pressed glass items. And these were popular in the 1880s, 90s, 1910, 1915. This one's, and usually they're dated, but this one is not. Mount Clemens, Michigan, $2.49. And that's in really good condition. But this one has a really bad chip in it, or crack. See that crack? So, several cracks. And this is probably made in Japan in the 1950s. Okay, guess what? You don't have to wait until I get inside and spread it all out on the kitchen counter. I'm going to show you right now what I purchased at this Goodwill store. I only bought one piece of glass, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I bought. It was $11 and umpty-ump cents, and then I rounded up to 12. So for $12, this is what I purchased. Salt and pepper shakers. These are mid-century. Probably the, I don't know. Probably the 50s. And they're cold painted red, and of course, the red is chipping off a little bit. I think they're really quaint. And someone did go ahead and replace the stoppers on the bottom with plastic pieces. The Japan stickers are gone. Oh, those were $1.49. So remember, all of this just, the grand total was $12. So those are cute. And little coffee pots, there aren't, other than the little chipping paint, there aren't any chips or cracks on those. And to kind of go with it, sort of from the same era, is another one of these nutcrackers. And this one is probably, is this one marked Hazel? This one is marked Hazel Atlas. On the jar, on the glass jar on the bottom. This was actually $2.50, so that was a little more than usual. See the HA for Hazel Atlas? Not anchor hocking, but the decal is really good. The paint is good on this, and this will clean up nicely. What am I going to sell all these things for? The salt and pepper shaker set is cute, probably $12 to $13. We'll try to get about 10 bucks out of this. So not big profits on these items, but small, easy to ship. You know, descriptions are no problem. I mean, I can just list these things very quickly. I might even, I don't know, I might even group them together since they're all kind of from the same era and the same color. I did go ahead and buy this because if I didn't, somebody who actually lives at the very top of Mount Clemens, Michigan would get really mad at me. So I paid $2.49 for it. I'm probably just going to do a buy it now and like try to sell it for $12 or $15. Again, as I said, it's in really good condition. We've talked before, these were very common from just before the turn of the century to after the turn of the century as tourist items. And right on the spot, you could get, you know, Love Mom or To Mildred or From Uncle Milton. And oftentimes the date, you'll see dates on these. It's just a nice little tumbler in very nice condition from Michigan, Mount Clemens in Michigan. So all my Michigan folks, I was thinking about Texas. I'm sorry, but that other piece was all cracked. That little teapot. So sorry, Texans. Next time. What else did I... Oh, one more thing. This is adorable. It's a planter, and you already know as soon as you see it, based on these colors. Royal Copley, you know it just like that. It's not marked, doesn't have to be. And then when you turn it upside down, you see these ridges on the bottom. What was this? Okay, it was $4.50. And you can see, you see those ridges on the bottom? That's screaming Royal Copley, no signature needed. Now, other than the typical little crazing that you get, I really went over this guy, and he's in perfect, there aren't any chips or cracks in the pottery, just some crazing of the glaze, which happens. So he's a cute pup waiting at the mailbox as a planter. And again, this is mid-century, probably the 50s, late 40s to the 50s. I don't have a Royal Copley book, but that's about probably the 50s is what he dates to. And planters, but there are lots of Royal Copley collectors, and he was just too cute to pass by. So I think I did well. All of this for $12. I really don't know what he'll sell for because I'm going to put him up for auction, and I would guess that he's going to do anywhere from $15 to $20. We'll see. So I like the things that I bought. They all kind of are within that mid-century era for the most part, except for the ruby souvenir glass. Okay, the video's not over, and I'm going to say stay with me. I don't know where I'll be next, but you'll find out in just a moment. Well, a sound like that means springtime must be on its way. Hi everyone, I'm Scott and I'm standing right underneath the guts of City Hall in Philadelphia. And the reason why I'm here is I'm walking home from running an errand. And I want to show you the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts. Okay, which is where Maxfield Parrish studied, one of the places that he studied art. And I was talking about parish prints the other day, so I'd like to give you a look at that beautiful art school, which is the oldest art school in the country. But here's a little view of the financial district down that way. And then as we turn in this direction, that's the Masonic Temple. And just beyond it, the Arch Street United Methodist Church. And then some city buildings over here, but this isn't a big history tour. Let's get down here and see the Museum of Art. Well, there it is right there, the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts, founded in 1805, which makes it the oldest art school in the country. I said art museum a minute ago. It's an art school, but there is a museum inside. And that's where Maxwell Parrish studied. I wanted to show you that. Okay, so if we turn back in this direction, there's the great big old City Hall, which you've seen me talk about before. We're on North Broad Street. And I'm trying not to make you too dizzy, but I'm just a few blocks away from home, so I've got to get there and get some packages in the mail, and I might take you thrifting with me. Thanks for joining me. Well, hi everyone. I thought I would do something a little bit different and show you my packing area. Now, I happen to be in a basement. And you can see my packing area is actually on top of two old ping pong tables. And these ping pong tables go back to the 50s because they were in my mother's house when she was a teenager. But I just want to show you that over here I have a variety of priority mail boxes. And then some of the boxes that I actually purchase, different sizes. They're different size boxes and mailers over here. Here's bubble wrap. And I recycle a lot of grocery bags. Actually, I buy these new. They're very inexpensive, and it's extremely hefty paper. It's a lot heftier than newsprint, which I know you can get for free, and I do that sometimes. But sometimes I will crumple up these instead of using packing peanuts. And this makes good packing for glass. And then over here, the tape measure, the scissors, the big magic marker so that I can write the word fragile on some of my things. And I believe I've got some other larger boxes behind me. This is my expensive way of weighing things. So for instance, I have an empty box here. I might put this box on my scale. Well, let me see. I'll do it this way. Let's say I'm getting ready to wrap this Fenton piece. This Fenton piece all by itself, we can see weighs just a shy bit under 2 pounds. Okay. And I know this is a very scientific way of doing it, but hey, it works. So that glass piece weighs about 2 pounds. Once I get it in the box and put all of the paper around it, I'll weigh it again, and it's probably going to, at that point, weigh about 3 pounds. So here are the things that have sold and are getting ready to be wrapped up. Those are things that have current bids over there that are next in line for being wrapped up. Let's not talk about all that glass for the moment, but you can see where I have all my packing materials. So I'll just back up a little bit more, let you see it all. The ping pong table and all of the stuff. And then I'm getting ready to, these are sold and these are getting ready to be picked up. The cracked ice kitchen chairs. And I have not you haven't seen these. Woohoo, look at this. These, I don't think I have shown you these at all. I just said that. These are circa 1931, 32, 33 lunch counter chairs. And I happen to know for a fact, an absolute fact, that they were used by Woolworths. I'm certain that they could have been used by other lunch counters as well. But I do have photographs of these exact stools being used at the lunch counters in Woolworth stores. And so they probably were recovered at one point. I'm going to clean, I haven't even taken the price tags off, but I am going to clean the chrome backs. And then you see we have really heavy, nice cast iron bases. So I was excited to be able to buy 4 of those, and I don't know exactly what's going to happen with those yet, but I wanted to show them to you. Okay, so I've got a lot of work to do. This is the packing area. I'm going to turn on the music and get packing. Now here I have a standard 12 by 12 by 8 priority mail mailing box issued by the United States U.S. Post Office. And what I've done in the bottom is I've created a nice bed of heavy paper. So these are the paper bags that I rip up. Okay, you can see it's a very, very heavy paper, much heavier than flimsy newsprint. Now newsprint is okay for some things, sometimes there's nothing wrong with it, but I do like this heavy paper. And remember, I ship about 1,000 packages a year, and a lot of it happens to be glass, and I have very few, maybe 1 or 2 breakages a year with 1,000 packages, so I feel very fortunate about that. So this system works for me. So I have a nice heavy, that's probably about an inch, maybe an inch and a half from the bottom of the box. Okay, and so I'm doing this rather than using those awful packing peanuts that are going to be in a landfill for 1,000,000 years. This can be recycled. So there's the base. Now I'm going to come back and show you what I'm going to place inside. Okay, what I'm going to ship in this box is this wonderful Roseville Futura vase, which I just sold for, I think, $149 or $150. And it's going to be okay in this box because I've got lots of room around the perimeter. So first thing I'm going to do with this is I am going to wrap this in bubble wrap, and so I'm going to do that and then come back. Okay, now what I want to show you is, here is the Futura vase, which is pottery, and it's in its nice little bubble wrap jacket. It's down inside the box, and what I've done is I've balled up the paper bags, which again, as you can see, these hold their stiffness because it's very heavy paper. And I've sort of created a perimeter. I've tucked it down in there and tucked pieces all around it, and it's nice and snug. What I don't want is for this thing to be able to move around in the box. And if someone, drops it or bangs it from the side, I don't want it moving at all. So it's held nice and tightly in place with the paper bags. Now, what I'm going to do on top, I'll put that piece right there. I don't use a lot. First thing, I don't buy these. I have a lot of people who save these kinds of things, whether they get it from Amazon or wherever. So I have probably about 8 or 9 or 10 people that save this type of packing material. And I do use it. And I specifically, in this case, have decided that I'm going to use it. So on top, I'm going to sprinkle these little peanuts, which I've just done. I feel like I'm doing a recipe show. A little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Okay, so the peanuts are in there. And this is going to be difficult. I really hadn't planned on doing a packing video with the camera in one hand, but I'm going to jiggle this around and let everything settle, because I want it to settle down in there. And I'm actually going to pull the sides of the box a little bit so that these things will settle down in there. And I want to make sure that when I close the lid, I'm not pressing too hard, because I don't want there to be extra weight on top of the pottery, which might crush it in transit. So there's a little too much in here. I'm going to be pulling some of this out until I get just the right feel of it. So that's what that box is going to look like. Okay, there it is. And so it's all taped shut. Now, what I want to do is, when I press on the top, I want a little bit of give, but I want it to be firm, but just a tiny little bit of squishiness, just a little bit. So if I were to pick this up, which I don't have 2 free hands, so I can't do it, I should shake it and I should hear absolutely nothing. I want it to be nice and firm on all sides, which it is. A nice good cocoon for that piece of pottery, and it should be just fine. But notice I could have used a smaller box, But that would not be a good idea because there's not enough cushion around it. With a piece of pottery or delicate glass, you can't just toss it in a box that's just a half an inch larger than the piece itself and just throw in some flimsy paper and expect it to get there unbroken. Okay, so now I'm going to write the word fragile on the side. I'll take it over here and weigh it on my scale. All right, let's do that.